Hi, this is George. Now, I would normally use my 12-sided die to determine which of the 12 categories I'm going to use for my 100-day art project, but I'm going to instead go with that's not really a review of Karen Dash, but it's more like how do I use them with doodling. So I got these maybe 4 years ago when I was working full-time, and this is a sheet in various language, and you can screenshot this to or pause the video to read over it, but I get sidetracked very easily. So this is stickers that come in the pack. So if you have a surface that has real estate to use the stickers, go for it. I don't have. This is the 15 color set. They're kind of pricey, but they last a long time. If I were to buy these now with not working, I would probably, if I'm going to do these, the 15 set, I would have to save or go with the 10 set. I think Karen Dash has like 84 colors, something like that, and there's no way I'm going to ever afford that. But if you're reeling in money, go for it. So what I'm going to do off camera is to section off my paper, which is my B watercolor paper. It's 100% cotton, and I use this when I use the Karen Dash. And someone asked me, I'm not sure if it's you, but will Karen Dash work on thinner paper like copper paper? My guess is yes, with the caveat that you can apply the crayons lightly and use a little bit of really little bit of water to activate them, but be careful. And on top of it, once it's dry, yes, you can ink in on this surface and on copier paper. Okay, so I do up a grid kind of different shapes that I like to do: square, circle, triangle, and I wrote the name of the crayon underneath the shape. I use my Stettler pigment liner. In this case, I did it using the 03, and I used these because I like them because the pigment liners, once they are dry, they're permanent. So you can, if you want, put wet medium and the ink or and it won't smear. So the line here, that's for checking the transparency, but I'm not too concerned about the transparency because I use them as a form of watercolor. But let's still get started. And as a note, these I bought, as I said, when I was working full time, about maybe 3 or 4 years ago. And when I do something like this, although it's not like I said, it's not a product review, but when I do one of these, it's because I use the products that I buy myself, and I have confidence in them. So if you can see, the ink doesn't smear. I'm going to use a larger brush going forward, and that's one is going to be my round 4 from Princeton. So I guess what I'm saying is I use these products, and I'm not trying to get you to buy anything. Okay, so you can see it's transparent, which I like. Try a little bit darker. I like to use the shapes because it's more varied as far as swatches go. I mean, you can do all squares, but why? Because it's more fun doing. I didn't let this dry, so it's my fault. I'm gonna let these dry a bit more and then come back. Depending on the type of paper you're using will depend on whether you need more time or less time to allow the ink to dry. Also, depending upon how much ink you lay down, be mindful of that as well. So hopefully the ink is dry now, but even if it's not, I'm going to still use whatever happens, incorporate it with my doodles later on. So this is vermilion, and if you can see, I misspelled it. It's Bermilion. Now my handwriting is kind of scratchy, but hopefully that won't be a problem. And I like the Neo 2s because you don't really need a lot. This is why it lasts a long time. And if you hear a fire engine going off in the background, I live by a firehouse that can be kind of active. So I'm going to continue laying in my Neo 2s. If you do go for a Neo 2s, make sure you get the Neo 2s because they have also a Neocolor I, but that's more of a permanent kind of crayon. And that one, the Neocolor I, is not water soluble.
I have a bit of water over there and over here, so it lets me clean my brush and then get more water on my brush.
This one is called purple. It's okay, but it's not my way of thinking as purple. But it's still a bit pretty. Another reason I like Neocolor IIs because depending upon how thick you lay down your color, you can, depending upon how much water you use, you can still make out some of the crayon marks here. It's really versatile as far as using it. And again, I'm not trying to sell you on these. There are other brands out there that do the same thing, but I tend to stick with what works for me as opposed to buying the latest and greatest. And I'm not using much pressure on it, just enough to color in a little bit. A bit too much water. one thing I do recommend is when you get any kind of art supply. Now this is the ultramarine blue. It's a bit darker, but I don't anticipate it being so dark that it covered up the black line, which is why it's more like watercolor than a crayon. The only thing is with Neocolor IIs is with watercolor you have a ability to lift the pigment depending upon its inherent staining qualities, but with Neocolor II, this acts like an ink, kind of, so you can't really lift it up, which is fine, because as I'll show you later on in the video, that's a plus. This is cobalt blue. I love this color. Enough of a blue tint, but it kind of reminds me of a turquoise, well, no, phthalo blue, kinda. Now I'm using my camera, well, my phone as my camera, and as you can see, it has the tendency to focus on my hand versus what I'm doing it with it, which is kind of annoying. So I apologize for that if it gets a little bit blurry. So you can see that there is a little bit of filler in the cobalt blue. I don't know what ingredients were used, but I'm thinking a little bit of white.
But again, my main concern is the translucency of the Neocolor IIs.
And I like the fact that it has, this set has a couple of neutral colors as well, like the brown and the ochre and the black. So much for the white, but you know. Oh, nice color. Now, with every artist that I know, they gravitate to their favorite colors. With watercolor, I tend to gravitate to blues and yellow ochre, but for the Neocolors, it's basically I use whatever I want, and I don't really have a preference, but I do like the brown and the ochre. So I'm going in with black, and again, I'm not using a lot, but you can see that it's still pretty transparent, more so than more opaque than the others. But still, you can have some opacity with the black. Although, to be honest, the only black I tend to use is the black of the ink that I use. So going in with the white, of course it's on top of a white piece of paper, so you're not going to see a whole lot. But you can still see a bit of the wax or pigment. And it's opaque up to a point. But even with watercolor or watercolor pencil, depending upon how much water you apply, basically anything will be transparent. You can even get a bit of transparency using acrylics. Alright, so that's the first part of the video. The next is I'm going to do a little bit of doodle on these shapes. But first, I want to try something that I use Neocolors for all the time, is a wash. Like this one was created using a wash of Neocolors, and as the texture I used a little bit of tin foil wrapping from a candy. It's really thin, so I don't know if it would work for household tin foil. Probably not. But with the candy tin foil, it worked really well. So on this one, since I did cool color, warm colors here, and if you have the siren in the back is because I live by a fire department. I think I already mentioned that. And what you can do is lay it on the side so that you have more contact space versus more up and down, whichever is easier for you. To cobalt blue. And you can layer it one atop the other, but I like that because it makes the end result something that you're not expecting. And this is the turquoise, but it kind of reminds me of cerulean blue. Okay. And I'm going to use, sorry about that, my phone died. I'm not sure when it died, but I used a couple of cool colors, and you see the crayon marks that haven't completely dissolved and become liquefied. That's a cool thing. And although you can't completely lift Neocolor II's from the surface, you can disturb it enough to vary up the concentration. So this is a paper towel. So you see the pencil or the crayon marks, kind of like that. And you can go in with salt or a mister to create more texture. So I will let this completely dry before I come back. I hope you enjoyed the walkthrough of how I begin my process of using Neocolor IIs. Now, don't worry, this is not going to become a channel that I will typically review products, but I hope you have a great day, and I will see you in the next video where I will try doodling on these with more uses of Neocolor IIs. Thank you. Bye, and have a great day.